People would come out of their houses and say, "What's going on?" They say, "They're marching to Onondaga, to confront Onondaga for peace." And they'd say, "Well, I got to see this," and then we start to fall in. So there were hundreds of them, and the crows that always watched for Onondaga were lulled by the songs and the music. So that Onondaga suddenly looked up and saw hundreds of people coming into his clearing, singing songs of peace. It must have blown his mind, because nobody ever came close to him, before. They feared him so much. And here they all just walked right in and gathered around and sat down, singing their song of peace. He didn't know what to do. He was amazed. Tigana-Uida went up to him. He reached out his hands and touched him with his hand, with his healing touch. Touched him in the places where his body was twisted, tight, hurting. Began to smooth him and heal him. And Hiawatha reached out with his comb and began to comb his hair. The snakes were living in his hair, and he combed those snakes out. And all the poisons began to drain away from Onondaga's brain. And he began to get soothed, being massaged and his hair combed. He began to mellow out, lay back to listen to Hiawatha, who spoke to him and said, "Oh, great Onondaga, we come here today to honor you. We come with a proposal of peace for all the nations, and we wish to plant the tree of peace here in your nation, in the Onondaga nation. And here we would kindle the great fire, the central fire of the great peace. And who should be the keeper of that fire? The one to call the nations together to council, the one to suggest the topics to be discussed, to solve the problems and differences among us. Why, who but you, Onondaga, great leader of the Onondaga? From this day forward, your name should be remembered for all time, for its wisdom, for your great love of the people, for your dedication to peace." And now, as the poison drained away from Onondaga's mind, he was soothed. He began to feel again the person he had been all along underneath all this poison. His true love that was always there came out. His feelings for peace, for the people, for cooperation. His wisdom, his sense of himself, his image. He knew who he was. He was a leader of the people. He could bring people to peace and cooperation. And he accepted it. And now that peace has lasted for 1,000 years. It's a model to all the world. Every day, every year, the Haudenosaunee people meet in the Great Council. And the great law of peace is recited from memory in their language. And it begins, "I, Tigana-Uida, will plant the tree of peace here in your territory, O Onondaga, in the nation of the Onondaga." And to this day, the fire keeper of the central fire is always named Onondaga. And one of the chiefs from the Mohawk Nation is always named Hiawatha. And Benjamin Franklin came in 1743 to make some treaties with the Indians, and they told him, "You should bring your colonies together into a unity like this." And he studied it. He said this was good. And he told his friend Thomas Jefferson. And they said, "No, our people should have freedom like this and a unity like this." And they began to speak of that and build that in to the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution that all the world has copied. But they forgot very important things, unfortunately. I mean, one of the most important, immediate, obvious things they forgot or didn't bother to look into was that the real power in this League of Nations of the Iroquois was in the women. You see, it was the women who could appoint those chiefs and take their antlers away if they weren't doing the right thing. And I've been with those people. I know that when the women meet in their clans, the men stop and wait for their instructions. The clan mother comes out. She's the one who can put things straight. Now, they said all men were created equal. But the women didn't have the vote. The women couldn't have the property. So it was through all the world. How are you going to have a peace like that? They said, in God we trust, but in the League of the Great Peace, whenever people gather together for just any kind of gathering at all, they will spend 40 minutes thanking the Mother Earth and greeting her, thanking the waters and the winds, the grasses, the strawberry, the maple tree, all the little things that grow, put their roots into the ground, all the little animals that crawl on the ground, and run, and play, the insect people, the bird people, the fish people, the great star nations and the Creator. Everyone will remember their part of a great web of creation and that all are our relatives. And with this reminder, then they can discuss together. Then they can become of one mind. And they don't have to have factions. The left and the right, the Republicans and the Democrats. Because they're of one mind. They can find the human thing to do. But most important of all, what can be learned from this league? You remember when they had this vision of a hole that they would throw all the weapons into? They didn't say, we're going to throw all the weapons of the world into this hole except the Pershing missile. They didn't say, we're going to throw all the weapons of the world into this hole except Star Wars. They said, we're going to never use violence to solve our problems again. That was the new way. That's the new way of thinking. We're going to solve our differences by talking, by thinking, by feeling together. That's the faith. You see, so when people get together and start trading their, oh, well, we'll cut this arms out if we'll cut this arms out, that's not the point. The point is we bury them all in the earth. And we, from now on, settle all our differences this way. You see how powerful this story is. You can go forward now and tell this story. You can say, hey, I found out there's a peace that's lasted on this continent for 1,000 years and we don't even talk about it. But they're meeting every year together and they're at peace with each other. And you can't even bring a pocket knife into that conference if you go. You can't even have a sharp knife when you eat. You might hurt somebody, you see. Because it's a new way of thinking. 1,000 years old, we should catch up to it. Our people, I'm from the Wampanoag Nation, we joined in with a group, and we heard about this too. You see, those white roots of peace go out for all nations, and everybody can join. So you can all tell the story. And tell everybody that they can become part of this great peace. They can make this great peace. We can do it so that all the world will gather together one day and sing good news indeed. It is all good. This day we speak of peace. Farewell to war. Farewell to its cruel hatchet. Too long have we been insane. From this time forth we shall be brothers and sisters. Farewell to war. Farewell to arms. This day the great peace is made, and all that we do this day is good. And there is a peace march going on right now, starting down in Portsmouth. You could catch up with it if you went down there. You can meet it in Brattleboro on the 21st and the 22nd. You can come down at the end of it and all be together in Groton, Connecticut at the submarine yard there on the 6th and 7th of September and show that there are people who are for a real peace And if you'd like to learn to tell this story, I just recorded it on a cassette, and I don't have
I would say that's a go too. I want to go and get the blood more.
That loud.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I'm not used to it either.
Yeah. You see that 12 string that guy had the other night?
Yeah,
That's pretty good. He got a hell of a deal on that guitar. Paid about $650 for it.
Wow. My first guitar was a Joe.